All right, 1 o'clock. We're going to go ahead and get started. We've got a couple extra kind of weird things to talk about today, and since you guys that are on the line today are the ones that are generally here, I'm going to let you guys make some decisions today. So we are working on section 8 and 9 this week. So we are going to be finishing out Unit 1. So the Unit 1 is just up through section 9, so that's pretty exciting, which means exam is next week. So we will talk about at the end how to set up your exam date if you haven't done that already, and how we're going to kind of work through that. So we'll talk about the exam later. So this week you have 2 web work assignments, an Excel assignment with Descriptive Statistics, which is section 8. And I do have a video for that after class when I post the live session video. I will post a video for project 1, and I will post a video to go with that Excel assignment. So I'll be posting 3 videos today. And I probably won't post those until about 4 or 4:30 because I do have a meeting that runs 2 to 4 directly after class. So it'll be in the announcement section as usual. Project 1 is assigned today. Project 1 kind of goes with section 9. So at the end of the session today, we will also be discussing Project 1, where to find it, what to expect, all that fun stuff. And then just a reminder, exam 1 is due on the 23rd at noon. That's a Saturday. In case some people in the class work during the day and can't get to a testing center during the week, they can test on Saturday. Next week, because it's exam week, the session that we roll will be a question answer session. I think I said it last week, but I'm going to say it again. So I'm not going to really have anything planned. It'll be an open, blank black screen, and it'll be what kind of questions do you have for the exam. It can be content, it can be exam specific, it can be anything. But I'll just be available from 1 to 2 on Wednesday with any questions. October 4th is kind of the weird thing that we're going to talk about. I've got some traveling coming up. I do some consulting work with a research center down in Texas, and I'm going to be in Texas twice in October. And October 4th is the first one. I will be in a session all day on the 4th and will not be able to be live at 1 o'clock like I am right now. So we don't have to decide this right now because we have a couple weeks, but start thinking about it. Is there an evening that works okay for anybody? Like if we want to do Wednesday evening, I think my session, I'll get details next week, but I should probably be done by 5 o'clock Central Time, which is 6 o'clock here. So if an evening would work, and I'll put this all in an email as well, but I can do an evening live session if we want to change days. I still want to hold, and we can do 2 live sessions that week since it's going to be kind of weird days. Whatever we need to do to make it work for you guys, I will do that. But I'll shoot out an email with some options, just get your brain around that. I'm not sure if 2 weeks after that, so that'd be the 18th. I don't know if I'm going to be available at this time or not. It's going to depend on when I have to fly out for the next session. So stay tuned. Way more to come in October, but we're going to need to kind of alter the live session date. And I'll have more information on that when we figure it out. Okay. Before we move on to section 8, does anybody have any questions, comments, concerns, suggestions, words, anything? Are we just ready to roll? Going once, going twice. It's hard to know how long to pause because if you're typing, I can't tell if you're typing, but okay, I think we're good. So we're going to go ahead and get into section 8. I like 8. I feel like 8 kind of brings us back to the good old days. Descriptive statistics is a nice way to talk about the mean, median, mode, the range, the percentiles, and that kind of thing. So we're going to do refresh our minds on this. We're going to do everything in class here by hand, and then that Excel assignment that I do post a video for, you're going to do all of this again, but you're going to use Excel and the formulas within Excel to find all of these pieces. And, Excel is one big calculator. It will do all the math for you if you know what buttons to hit. And that's why I created that video. So if you don't know what buttons to hit, you can go ahead and use that video to help you. So, okay, so let's get through here. Mean, median, and mode are things that you probably have I'd say you definitely have seen them before, just a matter of how long ago. So when we talk about the mean, what is the mean? And feel free to use your microphone to talk, or you can put it in the chat box. Can you guys hear me? I feel like nobody's responding. Oh, there we go. Okay, so okay, whew. All numbers added together, and then the sum is divided by the amount of numbers there are. That's beautifully written. Yeah. So we're going to add up all the numbers that are there, find the sum, and then divide by the total number of numbers, the total number. Good. And the mean sometimes is also called the average. So when you get to Excel, the formula for mean is actually under average. So we'll see that. Okay, good, Matt. Let's go to the median. Talk to me about the median. The middle of all the numbers. Yep. Median has a D in it, middle has a D in it. Now there's one other thing that needs to be true besides just the middle number. It's the middle number when your numbers are in order, least to greatest. So you do have to make sure that you put them in order first if they're not already in order. That's crucial. All right, what about the mode? The number that shows the most. Oh, look at all three of you guys participating. High five. All right, the number that appears the most, right? So they both have an O in them. All right, how do we find the range? The range, we take the max, or the biggest number, and we subtract the smallest number. So the biggest minus the smallest gives us the range, right? It's kind of like the spread of data. Okay, now percentile, we're going to get more into the percentiles here in just a moment. But when I say percent, hopefully you think of 0 to 100, right? So this is the percentiles from 0 to 100. Well, if I give you a data set of 100 numbers, percentiles are very, very easy. If you have 100 numbers, then the 20th percentile would be the 20th number. If I give you the 60th percentile, it would be the 60th number. But I'm telling you right now, we are never going to play with a data set that has 100 numbers in it. So if you're doing those, random percentile numbers, you really can't do them by hand. That's where Excel comes into play. But we can find the 50th percentile by hand. Because if you think about it, the 50th percentile is in the middle. Well, we know that the middle number is known as the median. So if you find the median of a data set, you have found the 50th percentile. And then let's just continue to think about this logically. If I cut in half 0 to 50, cutting that in half gives me the 25th. Well, if I would take the median of just this front half, that's the middle. And the middle of the front half is 25th. So again, you would find the median of the yellow spot to get the 25th. And if we take 50 to 100 and take the median, which is the middle, we get the 75th percentile. So if you understand how to find the median, you will do very well with percentiles because it's very much related. And we will get more into this in an example with numbers here in a moment. All right, so there's just your basic definitions of those pieces. So percentile means out of 100, right? So let's do a problem. We're going to find the mean, median, mode, and range, and then the percentiles. I'm going to ask you to do A through D, or at least try it. And then we're going to do E and F together because the percentiles are a little bit, that's more of a new topic. You'll notice I've already put these numbers in order. This 10 is not part of the data set. This 10 is an old number that I used to use. So we're just using these 7 numbers. When you're done, if you'll just type like yes in the chat box, you don't need to give me all your answers. Just let me know that you're done and we'll kind of go for, or you're stuck. Either way, doesn't matter. But when you're done trying, let me know. All right, we're ready to roll. So, median. Oh, mean. Gosh, let's start with the top. So for the mean, did you get roughly 23.43? I want you to stop me if you didn't get what I got, okay? Now for the median, if you look directly in the middle, this is my big vertical line. I'm making it nice and fat on here. Cuts through 24 exactly. So you notice there are 3 numbers on either side of the vertical line. The mode that appears most often is 32 because it appears twice. And the range is found by taking the biggest number of 32 minus the smallest number, and that gives us 20. Right? All good there? Great. Nobody chimed in with anything, so I assume that everybody's golden. All right, now talking about percentiles. So we already know the 50th percentile because the median, right, is also known as the 50th. Well, logically thinking now, I need a different color pen. Here we go. Anything in front of the vertical line at the median deals with our front half, right? This is 0 to 50. So we want to find the median of this front half. So all the numbers in front of that vertical line are in play, and the median of that cuts directly through 16. So the 25th percentile is 16 because it's the median of the front half. Same concept. If I'm looking at this upper half, everything that's to the right of the vertical line of the median, we want to find the median of this half, right? Because this is 100. So the median of this upper half is 75. Well, it's going to cut directly through this 32. So this is our 75th of 32. Now, one thing that I always double check when I'm done with my 50th percentile, 25th, and 75th, excuse me. In front of the first vertical line, I have one number. Between the next vertical lines, there is one number. Between the next vertical lines, one number, and then after the last one, there is one number. That will always be true, that you will have the same number of numbers in each chunk. So double check that. If that is the case, then you know you're correct. If you have 2 numbers here and only 1 number here, then you know you jacked something up. All right, the percentiles make sense? That process makes sense? Anybody have any questions on that particular problem? Any of it, A through F? I like this section. I think it's good. Okay, so Logan says no questions. Okay. In that case, let me erase all drawings. Let's move on to number 11. So again, 11 is not part of this data set. Now we only have 6 numbers. I would like you to try all A through F. And again, and you can, just type yes or whatever in the box and we'll go from there just like you did with this one. A little bit differently, mostly with the median and the percentiles because we have fewer numbers. So it'll change just slightly. Okay, so Matt's ready. And Logan. All right, so let's start going through this. So we've got our mean, which I rounded to be 55.67. And you could have rounded a little bit differently. Right, again, stop me if you need to talk about any of this. The median, since we have an even number, my vertical line goes directly between these two numbers. To find the median, when you have that right, you would add these two together. So 58 plus 60 gives me 118, and we divide it by 2. We're finding the average. So our median is actually 59, directly between the two. The mode, the number that appears most often in this case, is 60. And the range, biggest minus the smallest, which gives me a range of 20. Any questions A through D? Okay. So when we find the 25th percentile, remember we start by saying everything in front of the vertical line of the median. Well, the vertical line is after the 58. Therefore, 58 is in play. So when I want to find the median of this front, the median cuts directly through the 50. So my 25th percentile is 50. So here's 25, 50th percentile. Then when I go to the 75th percentile, well, I'm looking at the upper half, everything to the right of the median vertical line purpleness. And that median cuts directly through 60. So this is our 75th percentile, which is 60. Again, talking about how many numbers you should have, right? We have one number at the beginning, one number between the next vertical lines, one number, one number. Since it's even, right, we have the same number in each spot, we know that we are correct. All right, any questions on that? Again, you're going to do all of that in Excel using formulas with the video that I will post later. Okay, let's move on to symmetrical versus skewness. And this is kind of just a general, I'm going to talk a little bit, draw some pictures, and then we're moving on. So symmetrical, most people, wow, look how straight that line is. That is ridiculous. So symmetrical is basically if you have a curve and symmetry. If I would cut this curve right down the middle, it's the same on the right and the left. Well, when we have this, it means that the mean equals the median. And also the mode, for that matter. Because when we're talking about these graphical representations, wherever the highest hump is, right, that's where the mode is. So in this case, the mean, the median, and the mode all fall directly in the middle. We're actually going to talk more about that when we get to section 14 and 15 in Unit 2. Now, skewed right, pictorially, means that our biggest hump is here, and it tails off to the right. So if it looks like it's tailing to the right, that means it's skewed to the right. And that means that the mean is greater than the median, generally speaking. There are exceptions to the rule, but generally speaking. Now, one thing I want to just point out, notice the way that this points, mean is greater than, it points to the right. That's the way that the tail goes. So if you have a visual representation, which way does the tail go? That's the way it's skewed. And mean versus median, that's the way your point goes. So when I'm talking about being skewed left, now I've got the big hump over here and the tail goes to the left. So if the tail is heading to the left, it's skewed left. And that simply means that the mean is less than the median, generally. And again, you can see pointed to the left, fades to the left. and that's how they're related. So there is a whole page that has a lot of words that talk about this, but I think it's good if you have a pictorial representation. That helps me remember because I'm very much a picture person. Okay. I think, sometimes I do think. Yep, that's it for section 8. If we have time at the end, I might bring up Excel and just kind of show you a few things in Excel, but if we don't have time, it's not a big deal because I will post the videos, and those videos will be enough that you can work through them. Okay, so section 9. Wait, any questions on section 8 before we bust into section 9? Going once, going twice. Sold. Okay, so section 9 is weighted averages. So with section 8, we just found regular averages, right? Add all the numbers up and divide by how many there are. Well, when you have weighted averages, it's slightly different than that. So there are two different methods to weighted averages. One of them deals with percents, and the most relevant example to you is course grades, right? This class has a weighted average. Your grade is weighted depending on, different categories. So the course grade is probably the most common percentage weighted average problem in our life. But anything dealing with percentages, we would use that method. The other method is accounts, and simply we call it the count method because there aren't percents, so they're just numbers. Your GPA is a weighted average using counts, and anything else with numbers. So it's pretty easy to identify a weighted average problem. If it has percents, you use the percent method. If it doesn't, you use the other one. It's really not meant to be tricky. Okay, so here's the deal. We're going to find the weighted average for this problem. So we'll pretend that these are your grades in a class. You had 4 homework assignments, 3 quizzes, 2 projects, and 2 exams. And these are the weights. Homework is 10%, quizzes are 20%, projects are 25%, and exams are 45%. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I am a huge fan of tables because I can organize my things very, very nicely. So I'm going to make myself a table, and I'm not sure what that was supposed to be, but we have homework, we have quizzes, we have projects, and we have exams, right? These are the 4 pieces to my, man, I'm on straight lines today. This is kind of crazy. Oh, not that one. Okay, so we have this table. Now, the next piece in our table, I usually use as my weights. So the weights we pull from this spot here. So I'm going to use a different color because I think colors are fabulous. So homework is 10%. And the weights are always percents when you're talking about the percent method. So projects are 25, and then exams are 45. Your weights should always add up to 100% because we're talking about all, right? Everything in this class is 100%. So if you add up the percents, they should add up to 100. Then we have our next category, or our next column. And our next one is what we call the category average. And this is pretty much how your grade in Math 123 is figured. So you have a category average, meaning you get 1 homework grade. Well, if you look up here, you currently have 4 homework grades. So how do you think we're going to take those 4 homework grades and only put 1 in the box? How do we do that? Do you just get to pick your favorite grade and go from there? That's a solid idea, but I don't think that's a mathematical. Exactly. Don't use a question mark. Be confident in your answer. Yeah, you're going to find the mean. And that's kind of why we call it the category average, because you're going to take the average of these 4 numbers. So we need to average each one of these categories, add and divide to find the category average. So go ahead and do that. Find the average of those 4 numbers. I'm going to give you about a minute and a half. All right, what'd you get for your averages? If we're going to round to the nearest tenth. So 95.5, 78.3, 94, that's a horrible 9, 94, I don't know what that, whew, and a 90. Yeah, you're going to stop me if you have questions, right? Okay, so we have our category averages. And notice that even though your grades generally, right, these are generally percents when people are talking about, I got 100% on that homework assignment. Well, that's great, but we're talking about category average. We're just talking about numbers. So your weights will always be percents, but your category average will simply be a number. Now, the last column, I have Beckyized it, meaning I have my own terminology here. I always call this last column quality points. Whether I'm doing a percent method or I'm using the counts method, I always call that last column quality points. And what this means is you have a category average of 95.5 for your homework assignment, and that's 10% of your grade. So if I would take 10% of, and of means to multiply, so multiply weights times category average, that's going to tell me how many quality points I earned from that particular spot. So I'm going to earn 9.55 points for my homework. Multiply quizzes, so 0.2 times 78.3, and that's going to give me, I believe, 15.6. Stop me if I'm wrong. If I take 0.25 times 94, I get 23.5. And 45% times 90 gives me 40.5. Right? Interrupt me if I've lost you. But now that I have all of my quality points, we want to total those up. Because your concept here is you're always, no matter what method you use, you're always taking total quality points over something else. In this case, we're going to put it over the total weights. So percent is always the total weight. Well, we already talked about how the percents are going to add up to 100%. So when I add these up, where am I at here? I should have 89. I rounded differently on my paper, so I think I might be off a little bit. 89.6? No, 89.2. This is when it's bad, when I don't follow my notes exactly. Okay, so I get an 89.2. So my total I can't put it up there. Total quality points is 89.2 over my total weight, which is 100%, which is 1. Meaning my final grade is just 89.2, which is a B. It does not round up to an A. Sorry about your luck. Questions on that particular problem? We're always going to multiply and then have total quality points over the total of something else. No questions? I feel like you guys are being really quiet today. Okay. All right. Well, in that case, I'm going to erase this. And we're going to move on to our next one. Now, this is a counts problem. For my quiz. Oh, you could round to 15.7, yeah. Generally, the more decimals you take it out, the better it is. I took mine out like 4 decimal places in my notes for this class, but that's a lot of decimals. So yeah, 15.7 would have been better. Yeah, that means I rounded incorrectly. So yes. Other questions, comments, concerns? We actually might have time for another one of those. Okay, great. Okay, this next problem is a counts problem, and I say that because when you read it, Sarah's selling 8 watches for $45 each, 12 necklaces for $60 each, and 35 clocks for $92 each. What is the average cost of an item? Well, we don't have any percents. So you read this problem, it's pretty easy to see there are no percents in this problem. So you've got to think about counts instead. So I still am a big fan of tables and setting up an organized table so that you know exactly what you're talking about. So in my pen, I'm going to say I've got watches, necklaces, and clocks. Those are the things we're talking about, so that's what I want to put in here. Okay. Now, because we're not talking about percents, my first one is not weights because we don't have any percent weights. So I'm just going to go with the number of items and the price of the items. And it doesn't really matter what order you put these in. This is just for organizational purposes. So you can see that for my watches, I have 8 watches at $45 each. I have 12 necklaces at $60 each. And I have 35 clocks for $92 each. Okay. I'm trying to not go too fast, but since you guys are so quiet, it's hard to know where you're at. And you don't have to create tables like this. You can do these a number of different ways, but I think it's easier if you have an organized method to your madness. Right? Okay, so just like the last problem, our final column is going to be quality points. And if you think through this logically, right, the weighted average is built on the same concept as the average that we did in section 8. So if I'm talking about items and money, if you can think about, well, if I take the total amount of money and I divide by the total number of items, that's the average. So that's what we kind of want. We want to get the total money and divide it by the total number of items. And that will give me the average cost. So when I talk about this quality points here, this quality points is helping us work on the total money. Because if you think about it, you sold 8 watches for $45 each. So how much did you get for all the watches? Does that make sense, Mike? So just like in that last problem, we're going to multiply the 2 columns together. So 8 times 45 is 360. Excellent. And we do the same thing. So our necklaces, oh, that 6 got big. The necklaces, we have 12 of them, $60 a piece. So how much do we have for our necklaces? $720. And then our clocks, 35 of them at $92 a piece, gives us a total of $32.20. So now we got to find our totals. So we need a total number here and our total quality points here in order to put in our fraction. So I add up how many items? Well, I've got 55 total items and my total quality points, 4,300. So if I want to know my weighted average, total money that I took in, or that I would take in, divided by the total number of items that I'm selling, what do you get when you divide those? $78.18, exactly. And because it's money, we will be going to 2 decimal places. Very good. Okay, questions on that one? Okay. GPA. Oh, that didn't shift so well. It looked normal earlier. Okay, so this B should be here, and that 3 should be here. Okay, so when you are in high school, college, whatever, and you have a GPA, Your GPA is a weighted grade. So, and this is all given to you in terms of what these points are worth, or the grades are worth. An A is worth 4 points, a B is worth 3, a C is worth 2, a D is worth 1, and if you fail a class, you don't get any points. And that should make sense, hopefully. So you can find your GPA using a weighted average system for a particular semester. If you're looking over your entire career of education, you would have to consider all of the classes together. So we're just going to say this semester, these are the grades for this student. What's the GPA? Oh, excuse me. Now, these points, so the grades have point values that I have up in orange, and that's per credit. So our quality points in this particular problem are credits times the point value of the grades. That's how you find your quality points. So when I'm looking at biology, it's a C. Well, that C is worth 2 points. In math, naturally, you got an A. An A is worth 4 points. A B is worth 3. A D is worth 1. And a B is worth 3. So you've got to find the value, the point value of each grade first before you can start doing any of the big math that goes in this. So we've got our grades for each letter, and now we're going to do our quality points. So the number of credits, so for biology, I have a 3 credit hour class and I got a C, which means I earned 2 points per credit hour. So 3 times 2, I earned 6 points for biology. For math, it's 3 credits times 4 points for each credit. I get 12 points for math. Good job. For English, that's 3 times 3, so there's 9. History, 4 credit hours, and you didn't do so well, you got a D, so that only got you 4 points. And then sociology is another 3 times 3, which is 9. So for GPA, again, we're talking about total quality points, and we're going to divide that by the total credit hours. Because it depends. I mean, anybody can earn 20 quality points, but did it take you 18 classes to get there, or did you get there in 4? Totally different. All right, so the total of my quality points, if I add those all together, can anybody total up my quality points and my credits for me, please? $16 credit hours. Great. And total quality points. Bad looking 9. $40. All right, so I total them up. That means I take my quality points of 40, divide it by my credit hours of 16, and 40 divided by 16 gives me a GPA of approximately 2.5. And there's my GPA. Questions on the GPA? Okay, I read through all the discussion boards this morning from last week, and a number of people mentioned that they would maybe like to do another CPI problem. So I have you 4 here live. We're going to vote. I have a CPI problem ready. Do you want to do that? Do you want to skip that? So you have options. Your options are these. Option 1, that should be a 1, do a CPI problem. Option 2, do another percent weighted average problem. Number 3, do another count weighted average problem. Or number 4, start the wrap up, because the wrap up includes the project and all that other stuff that we got to talk about. Or we can do all 3 of these problems and then wrap up. So, okay, so 5 would be all of the above. I would like you now to vote 1 through 5 in the chat box. I like this voting thing. Okay, so I have 4 votes for number 4, which is wrap up. Awesome. Okay, so we'll do that. Which that to me tells me you guys understand, because I think you guys are pretty honest in that if you needed to talk about something, we would. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk project 1. Then we're going to talk about how to make an appointment for testing. But to do that, I have to get out of this. So project 1. In the class, right, under modules, we are in module 4. Yep. So section 8, 9, there's your Excel assignment quiz. Here's your weighted average project. Notice it is due October 6th at midnight. The project is the only thing I do accept late for partial credit, but dude, turn it in on time. Projects are a big part of your grade, and it really shouldn't take you that many days to do it. You should be able to do it in under 3 weeks. So when you open it up, this is what it looks like, and I kind of want to just briefly run through this. I'm not going to read it to you, but your project has 2 parts to it, okay? So 2 parts. Your first part is here with the Excel spreadsheet. These boxes at the beginning are basically your check boxes. This is what I use to grade it. If you hit all of these, you're going to get all of your points, assuming that it's correct. You do have to use formulas in Excel to do this. I do have a video that goes with the Excel portion of the project if you want to watch that. Now, the Excel is also something I will check for you before you turn it in. So if you do the Excel spreadsheet this week and you want to email it to me and say, hey, will you check my spreadsheet? I would love to, okay? And I will give you back details of, hey, you need to fix this, you need to fix this, or I'll say, hey, your spreadsheet is golden, go with it. The spreadsheet, your project is worth 100 points. The Excel spreadsheet is worth 40 of those 100 points. So basically, almost half of your project, I will grade for you before you even turn it in and let you know if you have issues. I've made promises to students. Excel will never be the reason you fail this course, and I'm here to help you any way I can. So I highly recommend you take advantage of that, because I can help, just some simple typos even in that will fix it. Okay, so that's the Excel portion, right? That's the first thing you're going to turn in is that spreadsheet. The second thing you're going to turn in, let me get that drawings off of there, is this typed reflection paper. Yes, you have to write a paper. Get over it. So again, you see these white boxes at the front, and this is 60 points of your grade. Notice there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Each one of these boxes is approximately 10 points. So you're going to want to make sure, I would say, 6 paragraphs. They don't need to be long. Paragraph can be 2, 3 sentences. I'm not looking for anything super fabulous in terms of English. I'm looking for content. Okay, you do need complete sentences, capital letters, and that kind of thing. But look at this first piece here and then answer it. Give me a couple sentences. Go to the next one, start a new paragraph, answer it. You're going to need the Excel document finished before you can write your paper, because your paper talks about the Excel document. Okay, I will not read your paper before you turn it in, because I really barely want to read it once. I'm definitely not going to read it twice. But if one of these boxes you don't understand what it means, you don't know what they want, if you don't know what I want, feel free to email me and say, I don't understand the reflection paper, bullet number 3. What are they talking about? And I can try to clarify that for you. So again, you don't want to wait till the very end to start this, because we need time to be able to answer questions if you have them. All right, so that's 2 pieces that you're turning in, an Excel piece and a Word document. Those are the 2 pieces that I will be grading. Make sure you have both of them turned in, because it's important. Now on the back side of this, because it's 2 pages, front and back, the top of this page is really just reminders, right? Give specific values. Don't say it went up or something like that. Use good representation. You can use color. You can do different formatting. You can make this as big and fabulous as you want to. It's really totally up to you. But the bottom of the backside is super important. This is where you're getting all of your data. So you're going to do weighted average. You're going to do a grade book, just like what we just did, except you're going to do it all in Excel using formulas and cell references. But this is where your information comes by, okay? So don't say, well, I don't know where to get the numbers from. It's on your paper. So this is what you're going to use, what I highlighted here, to do your Excel spreadsheet. And then from your Excel spreadsheet, you will do the write-up. That's kind of a basic overview. Obviously, you're going to want to read through this document and let me know if you have any questions, but that's kind of a basic gist of Project 1. And again, I will post the video that goes with the Excel portion along with this session video and an Excel descriptive statistics. Those 3 videos will all be posted this afternoon sometime. Okay, any question about the project? Okay. The next thing I want to talk about is scheduling your exam. So you can take your exam anytime next week. If you want to take it on Monday, take it on Monday. Take the rest of the week off. But it's really whatever you want. Again, next week's session live with me is just question and answer. If you have questions, I will get you answers. But if you feel confident going through the practice material, just to kind of look ahead, Module 5 next week, you can see the only thing really there is Exam 1. That's where you will access Exam 1, by the way. But under the learning activities is where you will find the review packet and the answer key to the review packet. So if you can do the review packet, you will be fine in the exam. So I would say once you work through that maybe once or twice, go bust out your exam, get that done. But you can look at that if you have questions on that review packet. Bring them to the Wednesday live session and we can get those answered for you. So you might even want to schedule your exam maybe Wednesday afternoon, like at 2 or 3, so you can come here, ask questions if you have them, and then go take your exam right away. Just an option. You can do whatever you want. But you do have to schedule your exam at an Ivy Tech location. If you're taking it somewhere other than Ivy Tech, you need to talk to me like 2 weeks ago because we've got paperwork to fill out. Okay, so to schedule your exam, if you've never done it, just a quick walkthrough. If you go to settings, which is at the bottom, nope, that's not it, I lied. You're going to go to help, that's where it is. Okay, so you go to the help on the bottom side of Ivy Learn, and at the top it says Ivy Learn Student Resource Center. And I think we might have talked about this once before, but I think it's worth going through again, assuming that my internet's working. There we go. And then once you hit help, you see testing services. So I clicked on testing services, and then I'm going to go to a new tab because why not open one more? And you scroll down until you see the schedule now. Click on schedule now. It opens yet another tab, student login, and you follow the directions. Once you log in, it'll say you'll have an option for Math 123 Exam 1. You have 90 minutes to complete it. Make sure that you schedule it in time so that you can actually get it done before it's due. Okay. If you have questions on that process, please let me know. So I talked about the project. I talked about the exam. I don't think I have anything else. Do any of you have any questions? Whether it's content related or exam related, project related, web work related, anything. All right. Well, I'm done with the material for today. So go ahead and go forth and do math. Should you have any questions, I'll stick around for a few minutes till you're all gone. So if you have questions, I'll take them. Otherwise, feel free to shoot me those in an email as they come up. You guys are all doing pretty well so far, so keep up the good work, and have a great rest of the week and weekend, and I will talk to you later. Thanks. Matt, you've got 90 minutes to take the exam. So I think there are 20, maybe 24 questions. Some of them are multiple choice. Some of them are free response. So some of them will not take you very long to do. They're pretty quick, straightforward questions. But yeah, you have 90 minutes total to take the exam. Yep, you're welcome.